Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the 2026 redistricting referendum in Virginia. So as you may be aware, Virginia is set to, we're still having to see what courts decide and such, but at this point, it seems likely that Virginians are going to decide if they want to redistrict the congressional lines in the Commonwealth of Virginia going into the 2026 midterms. They are set to vote on this in April. April 21st, I believe, is the date that Virginia voters are set to decide if they want to go forward with this or not. So what I want to point out today is a new poll out from Roanoke College that has the redistricting amendment down by 8 points. Virginians opposing the mid-decade redistricting by 8 points. And in the same poll, it finds that Governor Spanberger holds a positive approval rating across the Commonwealth. This, of course, from Roanoke College, and it's quite interesting, in my opinion, and goes to show just how the trajectory of this referendum might go, and how the amendment process might play out on if Virginians decide to go forward with this new map that Virginia Democrats have proposed or not. Do Virginia voters not want to see what other states have done? Do they not want to combat that in the same level? Do they want to keep the independent redistricting that was across the Commonwealth and passed into law by a vast majority of Virginia voters in 2020? That's the question that will be on the ballot for Virginians to decide on. So first and foremost, I want to point out that this poll is very important towards this redistricting effort and really goes to show that this might, in fact, backfire on Democrats to the point where they may not end up being able to go forward with this after all the fighting and the infighting and such. It's not quite clear at this point if Virginia voters are encouraged to vote for this or vote against it. At this point, according to this poll at least, it seems that Virginia voters oppose this measure. So, of course, we still have a good month and a half, well, technically 2 months, really, until this referendum takes place. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But as of this moment, it seems that Virginia voters are skeptical on the measure. So I want to start by talking about Abigail Spanberger's approval rating in this poll and Donald Trump's approval as well across the Commonwealth. So the approval ratings for political figures, including the president, is up to 35%. It was 34 in November, I believe, was the last time this poll was conducted. So it's up from then, and it's 35% approval for Donald Trump with a 61% disapproval for him. And yes, so the disapproval is down 2% from November. 2% said they had mixed feelings, and 3% refused to answer the question. And Governor Spanberger's approval was also polled, and for the first time, this was the first time since becoming governor that she's been polled by Roanoke College. And she's currently sitting at a net approval rating of 53% approval and 39% approval. Disapproval, I'm assuming, maybe a typo on that end, which they say is almost identical. And if you look at the chart, it's almost identical to that of Glenn Youngkin's when he left office. So I point out this fact because this poll has people approving of Governor Spanberger's job with a net approval of 53%. And if we go to this redistricting referendum that's set to take place in April, and we go to the polling, which this poll has been updated on the site, and it has voters saying that they do not want to pass this with 52% to 44%. Now, keep that margin in mind because 53% of voters said they approved of Abigail Spanberger. So similar margin to her approval rating saying, no, we don't want to go forward with this. So an interesting margin here, nonetheless, for me especially. I was caught off guard when this poll was conducted. Not necessarily that I believe that the no's couldn't outperform and win this ballot measure, although I do believe that the question at hand is more likely than not going to go in favor of Democrats. But that was my opinion until today. I'm questioning my opinion now. But this Roanoke College poll is really fascinating because it has quite a big margin there. I mean, 8 percentage points, and that 52% being over a majority of Virginians saying, no, we don't want this, of course, according to this poll. So this is important too if we look at the margin that Abigail Spanberger won by across the Commonwealth in 2025. She won against her opponent, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, by 15.4% across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, this is important when we look at this ballot measure that's saying that the no votes are outperforming a margin of 8%. You know, Virginia Democrats really thought after their huge victories in 2025, electing Spanberger by 15 points, Ghazala Hashmi by over 11, I believe, and Jay Jones by over 6%, despite his scandals, they really felt confident going into this ballot referendum where they believed that Virginia voters would go in favor of what they're arguing. Their argument of this is to counter other states. This is to counter Texas. This is to counter Missouri. This is to counter North Carolina. And they believed Virginia voters would buy into that. And as of this moment, according to polling at least from Roanoke College, that's not as likely as what we think. I mean, of course, it's early on, and we've still got 2 months to go in this campaign for Democrats and Republicans both to campaign on this issue. But it's interesting, nonetheless, to find out that a vast majority, really, 8% margin, say no, we do not want to go forward with this referendum. That we want to keep our maps the way that they are drawn. So it's a real interesting development in this what will be election coming in April. For many months, of course, Christopher Newport University had a poll out in mid-January really, that had this ballot referendum, yes 51%, no 43%. So the yes margin winning by that's similar to the no margin currently from the Christopher Newport University poll. Of course, like I've said throughout the video, things change, races develop. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But this is really good news for Republicans who have been trying to fight this in court and who have continuously seemed to fail. The Virginia Supreme Court, of course, ruling that they can move forward with this referendum. Of course, fighting back in Tazewell County, trying to stop early voting. And we'll see what the Supreme Court of Virginia rules on that as well. But it seems that they've had a lot of obstacles in this race and in this ballot measure that's going to be put in front of voters, at least the Republican Party has. But this is good news for Republicans. It means that there are a lot of people skeptical of this idea of redistricting. And it just goes to show that the race could develop a lot different than a lot of people seem to think at this moment. Of course, this is going to play out to be a really interesting race. I mean, California passed Prop 50, which done a similar type of deal in California, passed new congressional maps. That passed overwhelmingly by over 60 percentage points. But it's important to note that California and Virginia are not the same. Virginia voters are a lot different than California voters, and California is a lot bluer than Virginia. While Virginia Democrats, time and time again, have proven that Virginia is definitely a leaning, if not likely, blue state, it's still not in that solid blue margin to where Republicans cannot win across the Commonwealth. Of course, it was just 4 years ago that Glenn Youngkin sweeped the governor's mansion with Lieutenant Governor Sears and Attorney General Miyares. So this is really going to shape out to be really interesting. We have a lot of people fighting against it on the Republican side, a lot of Democrats fighting for this. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Governor Spanberger hasn't seemed to have a huge role in this other than just, signing off on it. She hasn't really spoke to the measure a whole lot, and she seems to be, hesitant to do so. Of course, I think a lot of that could be because she realizes that there are a lot of voters who voted for her who are going to vote no on this referendum. So it'll be interesting to see how this race plays out, like I've said before in this video. And I still hold my statement that I still think this referendum passes. I still believe that the yes outperforms. I think this Roanoke College poll may be, somewhat of an outlier, although it is noteworthy and it is important because I think the race is going to be a lot closer between the yeses and nos than we originally thought. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do Virginia voters end up passing this referendum and redrawing the state's maps? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video.